This is the Recycling, Scrap Metal, Commodities, and Economic Report, August 4th, 2025. U.S. weekly raw steel production rose slightly at 1.777 million barrels per day, up 4.8% from last year, and up 0.9% year-to-date. This was on slow U.S. manufacturing, but 50% steel tariff protection. WTI crude oil price rose to $67.28 a barrel, as OPEC Plus finalized a production increase yesterday of 547,000 barrels per day starting in September. The U.S. may implement sanctions on Russian oil, which will drive up the price. U.S. weekly crude oil production rose slightly to 13.31 million barrels per day, remaining off December's high. U.S. producers are remaining cautious due to fairly low prices. The U.S. weekly crude oil rig count fell to 410, a new almost 4-year low. U.S. drillers are refusing to increase drilling because of fairly low prices, which bring low profits to new drilling. Scrap steel number 1 HMS price was steady at $311.67 a gross ton on a good global balance of supply and demand. Hot rolled coil steel price fell to $42.35 a hundredweight, which is $8.47 a ton on slowest U.S. manufacturing despite multiple new tariffs. Copper price plunged to $4.44 a pound as the threatened tariff on all copper changed. Now the 50% tariff is only on semi-finished and finished items like wire and pipe. Aluminum price fell to $1.16 a pound, which is $25.73 a metric ton, despite lower aluminum production, yet lower Chinese demand. U.S. S&P Global July U.S. Manufacturing PMI was revised higher to 49.8, but remember, under 50 is contraction. This was as demand stagnation and tariff uncertainty dominates manufacturing. International sales and employment fell as input costs rose steeply. U.S. June Personal Consumption Expenditure PCE Index, which is a key inflation measure. It increased to 2.6%, the highest point in 4 months and above forecast. Goods rose an annualized 4.8%, with food rising 3.6%, which both are above the 2% target. Pre-tariff cheaper goods are almost all sold, so some increases are starting. U.S. July non-farm payrolls, the new jobs report. It rose by 73,000 off the 110,000 forecast, and the previous 2 months had major downward revisions. The administration believes the numbers are wrong, so they fired the head of the reporting department. Healthcare rose as manufacturing and government fell. U.S. July U of M Consumer Sentiment Index rose slightly to 51.7. Current conditions increased while future expectations fell. The good news, bad news is that the 1-year inflation expectation fell, but it is 4.5%. U.S. Q2 economic growth, which is GDP, it grew at a terrific annualized 3% from the negative 0.5% in Q1, making the average of the first half 1.2%. The quarterly numbers were heavily skewed up and down due to imports being up and down. Q1 was hurt due to the record imports to beat the tariffs. Q2 was helped by low imports. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average fell a big 1,313 points to 43,589 due to the poor jobs report with the sharp revisions in the previous months and the slow increasing inflation. This is Greg Brown. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.